Hello, I am coming to you from the even further future than usual. I'm talking to you right now on September 11th, even though today's video was supposed to be for September 8th. So I'm not quite sure how to break this down, but essentially, well, I guess the best way to start would be to weed out anybody that doesn't care about just my story and only wants to see trail video. So if you're interested in seeing trail video, you don't have to check me out for about 2 to 3 days because I don't have anything. This video is just going to be me recounting what happened on this last section. But if you want to stick around, you will hear about my phone being destroyed, me having everything I own soaked in a thunderstorm, setting up in the rain, and having everything wet and having a cold night, and also 2 straight days of navigation just from memory because even my secondary navigation was gone, and having to message my dad in an emergency on my inReach to give me navigation on trail. Making it through the woods, meeting a couple people, and then making it into town. So that is what is in store for today's episode. But as far as content goes, visual, this is all I have for you. So if you're not interested, we'll see you in a couple days. For those of you remaining, let's start with September 8th. So we'll just do today's video. So last night I stayed at the campground, the Lowland campground, right? Yeah. So Jesus and I woke up on September 8th and started walking, and we went about maybe 5 miles, did a lot of climbing, and took a break. So during that break I decided to keep going. Jesus decided to stay and wait a bit, and so we split up. Figured we'd see each other later. So I went off trail accidentally, so I had to bushwhack to get back down to the road, and it ended up cliffing out. So I was bushwhacking down a cliff. Nothing too dangerous, but it was about, pretty close to a 60-degree angle. So not like a legitimate cliff, but like very steep hill. Went down to the road, continued on, never saw Jesus. So I said, okay, he has to be in front of me now. And if Jesus is in front of me, I'm never catching him. So, had some lunch down by a river and did some more walking. I'll actually get some stats for you guys afterwards. I actually don't even know what the stats were. But regardless, I went up to this open hillside, beautiful view out over some of these towns and a big open valley. Just gorgeous. A lot of mountains in the background, classic Montana. And I had perfect 4G service, and this happened to be on Sunday. And I love NFL football. So I stopped there for almost 3 hours, just talking to friends and family on the phone, looking up highlights of football, and doing some YouTube uploads and things like that. And by the time it got to around the evening, around 6:30 p.m., I noticed that I had been there a very long time, and some rain clouds were forming. So I told my friend I had to go, and put on all my rain gear, started walking. It started raining, and I was pretty exposed, so I didn't find anything good. And then by the time I found a spot that was pretty nice to camp, I said, it's too early in the day, I still have a couple hours of light, I'm going to keep going. Probably my biggest mistake on trail to date, to be honest, because I just kept going, and the rain got heavier and it got harder, and then the thunderstorm started and the lightning started, and flash forward and it's 9 p.m. pitch black, and I'm still walking, and my feet are going through mud puddles and everything's wet. I'm just soaked to the bone. So finally I decided to call it quits and set up my tent in the rain underneath, a pretty thick pine tree, not like these, but quite a bit thicker. And the rain was just so hard that it didn't even help. So I had to set up everything in the rain, so my tent was wet until I was able to get my rain fly on. And then everything in my tent was wet. The only things I owned at all that were completely dry was my sleeping pad, and I'd say 4/5, 3/4 of my sleeping bag. So that was enough to keep me warm, so I didn't have any hypothermic reactions. So nothing dangerous, but everything was so uncomfortable. I kept my phone in my jacket pocket of my rain jacket, waterproof, and when I took it out, there was water all over the phone. So I said, this isn't good. It worked though, everything was fine. So I wiped it off, dried it off as best I could, and then I slept with it. And when I woke up the next morning, which was September 9th, my phone screen did not work. I couldn't get it to turn on for anything. I tried resetting it, I tried turning it off and on just by listening to and feeling the vibrations in the phone that I'm used to, and the screen never lit up. So luckily, Trail Angel, Candy Baxter, included in all of my foodstuffs was a backpacker's pantry or backcountry, one of those two meals, that is rice. So freeze-dried rice. I said, hell yes. I threw my phone in there, sealed it up, said if there's anything that's going to dry out my phone, it's freeze-dried rice. So had that in there for about a day and a half, and I checked it twice, maybe 3 times. It never worked again. So that has gut hooks, all my navigation. So I said, okay, now I'm screwed. Now I'm going to have to navigate without my phone. But luckily, I keep a second form of navigation just in case, because you always want to have at least 2 forms of navigation, some kind of backup. My backup is my Garmin InReach, my GPS. So I go to load up the map, and I realize that I had not downloaded the maps for this section, and it wouldn't display. So that's my own fault. I screwed up. So now I have no maps. All I have is the compass on my GPS, and I still have 35 miles to go to town, and I just have to go based off of memory. So I go based off of memory, and I'll give you the details in tomorrow's video of what happened during that day, but this is just to color the picture of why everything's happening. So I have no phone, so I have no pictures, I have no video, and I had no navigation until I got into Helena. Luckily I did make it in, and I was able to get a new phone, which is what I'm on right now, an LG G7, and so everything is good again. I just lost some pictures and videos from this section, and some personal things that were important to me that are kind of gone, that were in my phone, and some notes and things like that, but nothing too major. It's just something that kind of sucks. So that is the description of what has happened to me in the past 3 days, and with September 8th specifically, I know I had 17.5 miles in by the time I hit the hillside. Sat there for about 3 hours, and then I think I put in about another 8. So that was about a 26-mile day, and I'll actually get some specific stats for you in a minute. So, productive day, worked out really well, other than, the ending of the night. The sleep was just terrible because I was so cold and wet. But yeah, I'd say that's all of the important parts of my recount of the day. So let me grab some stats for you quick. So this day was 24.6 miles and 4,900 feet of climbing. So a pretty respectable day. Yeah, it worked out pretty well. I had, a really good time talking to family and friends on the phone. Awesome watching my Philadelphia Eagles beat the pants off the Washington Redskins via a really cool comeback win in week 1 of the NFL season. I'm really excited to have football back. Unfortunately, I'll be spending about half the season on trail, but I feel like the trail's a little more important to me right now than football, but I'm going to try to meld the two together. I digress. So, all in all, it was a pretty good day until, the last 2 hours when I should have just camped and waited out the rain, but instead I wanted to push to get that extra 6 or so miles, and it just destroyed everything. So this day was pretty decent up until the last hour, but then September 9th is where everything went to crap, and you guys will find out tomorrow in tomorrow's video exactly what happened out there. But in generally, you get the idea. No navigation, screwed. But there were some things in there, like having to message my dad to get information and things like that, and really had to find my inner directional awareness to find my way around and deal with my memorization skills to remember how the map looked so I could follow a general route that would get me to town. So I don't think there's any more important details from September 8th, day 132 on the CDT. That's about it. So I will leave you guys with that. I'm sorry that I don't have anything for you. Obviously it's kind of out of my hands at this point. But there will be some trail video coming up pretty soon, a couple days. I only lost a couple days worth of stuff, so yeah, just another day in the life on the Continental Divide Trail. So we will see you guys tomorrow for a recount of September 9th.